Hello, welcome to another episode of my dad's Range Rover. The white one, not Bob, Diana. He calls it Diana. Anyway, I only name cars because I get so many projects in, and it gets a bit confusing really if I don't name the projects. But anyway, enjoy the video. So, even though Bob is not quite complete yet, you get to a stage in any project where you just kind of, and I was watching the footage for this week's episode on Bob, episode 50 I think, and I was starting to watch that thinking, it's not a very positive message I'm giving across here, it really isn't. So, I've had a day off Bob, and I'll get back onto Bob tomorrow. But the day, I've been doing shit work. Rather than shit work, which is nasty work on Bob, I've just been taking Diana apart because this car my dad bought in 2014. He's had it 8 years, and yeah, it's a good story, beer and bollocks story about how we acquired it in Belgium. And Dad and I, once we bought it, we drank our own body volume in Stella to celebrate. It was, when he bought it was €20,000, I think. Which at the time, 2014, it was not bad money for a original right-hand drive car. So this car was restored at some point prior to that. It had been in a collection for a number of years, the Luxembourg collector, and then really we kind of took it on from that point. My dad bought it, and yeah, he decided he wanted a two-door Range Rover. This one popped up. We thought, right, we're having this one. However, the 8 years since we've got it, it has deteriorated, and this is actually the car that Andrew St Pierre White on 4 by Overland channel drove on the beach at Pendine Sands. Mechanically, not really huge amount of issues. I've got to do the A-frame pivot on the top of the axle. I've got to give the engine a damn good tune-up, and the gearbox is howling. But mechanically, it's good. It's in good order. And interior-wise, the interior that was in this car that Andrew St Pierre White raved about is now in Bob, because that's what the owner wanted in Bob. And I must admit, it does look damn good in there with the blue. So Dad is going to put this car, sorry, whizzing around there quite a lot, but Dad wants me to put this car back to a kitkat style of trim. So I'm going to I've gone for the nationwide reproduction of the kitkat, and I'm going to trim a set of seats out for this car to go back into it. But prior to that, I want to get it painted. So, and obviously there's a little bit of bobs that needs doing. So roof, I'm going to clean it and probably just block it back with an 800 wet and dry, block it back, and then it'll be ready for paint. I think there's a few scabs, a few issues here and there. They probably will need a bit more work as I go around. You can see there's a big scab there, the aluminium where the Berber Bright has kind of started to corrode. So I'll do all that. Doors, I'm going to come back to this in a minute. Fuck you know. Doors, yeah, not too bad actually. They were red prior to being painted white. Whoever did the restoration didn't realise that, of course, you could see this chunk up here. Yes, we'll remedy that. Oh, didn't that close nicely? I'm not going to bother with any of the shimming out of the doors. The doors shim beautifully. They open and close beautifully. Really just stripped them down so that we can get the thing painted. That plug needs to come out of there, and I'll put some filler in there. The rest of it, really, screen needs to come out. The main reason for the screen coming out is it's actually a toughened screen. Sorry, I've got hair in my mouth. I'll rabbit. Where are we? It was on the screen. I found it earlier on. In fact, it was the windscreen man that pointed it out to me, because I must admit I'd never noticed it, but you can actually see the lines on it. There we are. It's a triplex toughened screen. You probably can't see that. Probably original as well, because it's got one of the early stickers up there. But I think if the screen's going to come out, it's lunacy to put a toughened screen back in. I'll get a new laminated screen for him. And the screen does need to come out because, again, we've got problems up here. None of this is particularly a massive issue, but it does need to be sorted out, treated, and ready for paint. The rest of this side, we're really not in bad shape. This was where the mirror had cracked what filler was underneath there. I don't quite know why it's been filled. I'm going to grind all this lot out. I say grind it. I'm going to take all this filler out here and see if I can push the metal up a little bit further so the filler isn't like 3mm thick. It's actually probably 1mm thick. Exaggerate 1,000 times, Richard, in this video already. Passenger door, I thought that the passenger door had dropped. However, there is no perceptible play in the hinges at all. And when I came to take it all apart, bearing in mind I've never put this car together, all of the fixings for this window frame were loose. So the window frame had shifted, which is why it's been clouting up there for about the last 8 years. Just never got round to looking at it. Yeah, the dynamite I put in there a couple of years ago now. Carpet's going to come out. I'm going to go back to, Dad wants to go back to the final trim. Sorry, a lot of noise there. I've taken all the sidey slideys out because I wanted to see the state of the tops of the wing. This side is not too bad, to be honest. All I'm going to really do is just clean this back. A tiny, tiny, tiny little hole there. Whether I break the welder out for it or not, I don't know. I really want to take the wing out if I was going to weld that. But what I might do is put a piece of metal underneath and just put a few spots around it and then seal it in. Top tailgate, just going to take it off. Bottom tailgate, just need to take the number plate off it. I shall take a template of the lettering because these have all been stuck on. And then get that sorted. As far as the interior is concerned, I'm not going to take any more of the interior out because there's none left in it. Doors have all been stripped on. I've got all new Palomino door trims and bits and bobs to go on. These ones aren't in bad order. I'm going to hang on to those because they'll probably go on another project car. But Dad bought a complete new set. So onto this piece here. I mean, really, this has properly blown. I mean, look at it. It's just absolutely, there's nothing really, there's no strength there at all. So I'm going to have to take the rear wing off. I was pondering whether I needed to take the rear wing off to deal with this. This has made up my mind. This also explains why there's water in the boot at the back, because it's just coming through this area. Now, there's a plate underneath here for the rear seatbelt mount, which is why that bit is suspiciously not rusty. I think what I'm going to have to do is to make up a lip that goes along the entire length here. Now, one of the things that has happened with this car during the restoration is, and I don't do this, someone's gone absolutely fucking berserk with the body sealer on every single joint. Body sealer, body sealer, body sealer, body sealer. And all this rust has occurred because the water gets trapped and can't get out. Yeah? This rust has occurred probably because there wasn't any paint underneath it and the water settled in there. And once they start to rust, I think it kind of becomes quite an accelerating process. But there's no rust up here. Oh, that's good. And it could well be because some ham-fisted gibbon put, in fact, there is body sealant down there, look. There's body sealant between the wing and that panel, which means the water gets trapped. Here it all is, look. Done. And this is the main reason why I don't put body sealant at the top here. Because you want the water to escape. You don't want the water to sit there and do this. Body sealant has caused that. You with me? And look, body sealant has caused this. It's rotted from the inside out, all the way around. So that needs to come out. But the wing's going to have to come off anyway to deal with that top section, which is a pain in the balls. On here, look. No sealant. Doesn't need it. You adjust the panels, you make them fit. No sealant up here, you don't need it. They never came with it. People just go nuts with putting sealant on all these things. No sealant, doesn't need it. Painted inside and out, doesn't need sealer. I'm probably going to get a few negs for that. Yeah, so I'm a bit disappointed with that, but never mind. It's easily fixable. A lot easier than that. So next thing on this, because I'm going to get back onto Bob tomorrow, I really want to, the heater's going to come out and I need to sort the squiggling heater, then I can pop the heater back in I'm going to take the dash top out. Don't need the dash top in, and it just protects it from overspray and so forth. Because Steve can easily mask up the steering column. And with the screen out, it's just going to put everything at risk of overspray. And bearing in mind there's only, what, 8 screws now that hold that dash in, that dash top in, it might as well come out. There's 4 screws underneath the instrument pod, there's 4 screws on the other side where the fuck handle would be if you had a newer car. So yeah, then I've got all of the front end, just taken all of the front end out. I mean, we're not planning on painting down here, but want to paint the outside of the wings. I asked Steve if he could work around the front bumper, because it's just another 4 bolts I don't have to undo, plus the spotlights, etc, etc, etc. Rear bumper will come off because the rear wings go down behind it, but that's only 2 bolts. Piece of piss. I need to have a chat with my dad as well, because I don't think he wanted the tow bar on this. I think we're going to get rid of the tow bar. I think they look better without the tow bar anyway. But look at all this lot down here. There's 1 fuse. I mean, someone has gone proper fucking berserk with this. 1 fuse for each circuit on the tow ball. There's only 1 fuse at the front there for half the car, but we've got 1 fuse for each light on the tow ball. Do you think it might be overkill? I can rip all that shit out, I tell you. That is all coming the fuck out. And then here, we've got the standard problem of Devon flies. Revolting things. Fruit flies. They just swarm and they cluster. I found a fair few dead grolly flies. So yeah, it's just a very, very quick review on where we're going with Project Diana. I will do lots and lots of episodes on this because it's gonna. I want this ready to go into the paint shop in the next week. That's going to be finished in the next week, so you can kind of see where I'm going. And then obviously when Steve's painted this, I can start the fitting out. But I've got all of the glass over there, all of the interior there, just being organised, really. Just trying to get this so that it can go back to Devon. And I end up getting 2 Range Rovers out of my workshop. Yay! But that is a disappointment. That's going to be half a day of fabricating and welding and half a day of taking the wing off and putting it back on again. So there's a day's work there just with that corner, I think. But never mind. It's worth it. I did speak to Steve about taking the door seal out because I don't particularly want to. It's a couple of hours to put the fucking thing back in again. And he did say he could work around it. We'll see. It might get to the point where he actually says, look, it's easier with the seal out, in which case, fine. Fuck my boots, doesn't that shut nicely? It's a bit Larry Grayson-esque. I mean, someone has already pointed that out to me. You don't know who Larry Grayson is. You're not a child of the 60s or early 70s. Very nice. Oh, a little spider up here. Hello, Mr. Spider. Yes, so that is it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you kind of like, want to see this project progress, then, hit the old subscribe button. Or if you have subscribed, make sure you're still subscribed, because YouTube does weird things with people's subscriptions. Hit the old thumbs up button. If you fancy donating to the channel, or motivating me to do more of this sort of stuff, when I say this sort of stuff, I don't mean the job, I mean the video. Because the video is not my day job. This is my day job. If you want me to do more of these videos, then a little motivation will go a long way. Yeah, I may buy pints, I may buy workshop equipment.